Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. This is the reading for No More Dead Dogs. We are now at the third chapter. This time it's called Enter Wallace Wallace. So I realize some of us have the blue cover book, which is what I have. Others have the yellow cover book with the German Shepherd on the front. Either way, we're starting at the same chapter now. So we're probably all at the same spot. Enter Wallace Wallace. On mine, it's page 24. Now, as you know, it's Friday. That's Paperwork-Free Friday. So what I'm going to do is I'll read the page. I'm going to just do what I do in class. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to tell the video the answers. And if your parents are hanging around with you while watching this video, by all means, tell them the answer, because if they're listening, they're going to be able to tell you whether you're right or not. Okay? Either way, this is just to relax, but I do expect you to read at least 4 pages today of No More Dead Dogs. Okay? I think that's a reasonable expectation. So here we go. Enter Wallace Wallace. Before I start this chapter, remember, Wallace Wallace, when he left practice on that Friday, he told his classmates, well, I can't do football practice anyway because I have to get my garage door painted. And he pretty much manipulated his teammates into coming over and helping him paint the garage door. So that's the setting. Here we go. And this chapter is being told from the point of view of Wallace Wallace. I applied the final brushstroke to the garage door. See? What did I tell you? 14 minutes flat. 11 giants were there helping me paint. The guys never let me down when it came to jobs around the house. Now can we practice the flea flicker? Asked Rick, brushing at the paint stain on his jeans and making it worse. Kavanaugh jumped up. Good idea. He always showed up at my place out of team solidarity, but he never touched a paintbrush, or a hedge clipper, or a broom. My ex-best friend wasn't crazy about me, or the idea of helping me out. Okay. So, here's an explicit question. This is the kind of question where you can point to the answer on the page. How many of his teammates showed up to help him paint the garage? Oh, wait. That's right. And so, surprisingly, who also showed up? Yeah? Who surprisingly showed up? Someone, it's not his best friend anymore. So who showed up? That's right. And of course, but if this person and Wallace Wallace are not best friends anymore, why did he show up? Look at the bottom of the page. You can put your answer right there. The last paragraph. Yep. That's why. Okay. Alrighty. So now I'm going to read page 25. My mother rounded the corner of the garage. Great job, boys, she approved. There's juice and soda in the kitchen if you're thirsty. Feather led the stampede into the house, Kavanaugh bringing up the rear with his famous slouch. That slouch was almost as much a trademark as his super long blonde hair. Come back, cried Rick. We don't have time. The sun will be down in 45 minutes. I laughed. Forget trying to control those guys where their stomachs are concerned. Rick started for the door. You hit the nail right on the hammer, he muttered. Yeah, Wallace is right. Rick seems to always mess up his language expressions. Mom took the brush from my hand and smoothed out the bubble in the paint. You know, I probably could have managed on my own, Wally. You don't have to call the entire team every time a fuse needs changing. I shrugged. I like to do my share. She whistled through her teeth, which was the signal that she had something on her mind. I waited. I've been mulling over this problem of yours at school, she began, finally. I think I've come up with a solution. Me too, I replied. What if there's an earthquake this weekend and a giant crack opens up and Fogelman falls in? That was on the next page. Really? Wallace? Anyway, so, for that page, what did Feather rather do than have juice and soda after painting the garage? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I got the character wrong. Feather was the one who led the stampede to get the soda. I'm sorry, I meant Rick. What would Rick rather do than have this juice and soda like the other teammates? He felt like there was something really important to be done. What was it? And then let's see. Why did Wallace's mom say you don't have to call the entire team every time a fuse needs changing? Why did Wallace's mom say that? What's her point? Think about that. Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's look at page 26. I know I'm going too kind of fast. If at any point I'm going fast, just hit the pause button and reread whatever needs to be reread. Okay? For some of you who might have lost your copy by now, always look into Bookshare. You are all registered under your Gmail account for Bookshare. In which case you can get a digital copy of the book. Mom pretended to consider this, the idea that there could be an earthquake and Fogelman could fall into it. It's like, Wallace. Mom pretended to consider this. I'm reading page 26, starting at the third line of the blue book. Not bad, but just in case that doesn't happen, why not try it my way? I'm not going to lie. It was an old song I'd been singing all my life, and she was used to it. You don't have to, she said quickly. Just write a serious paper on exactly why you think old Shep, my pal, isn't any good. No wisecracks, no sarcasm, just a simple, solid essay. It's the man's favorite book, Wally. If you insult it, you're making fun of him. Anybody who likes that waste of toilet paper deserves to be made fun of, I observed. That's exactly the attitude that's getting you in trouble, she reminded me. I sighed. I knew something was wrong the minute I stepped into the locker room on Saturday. The usual pregame chatter died all at once, like someone had pulled the plug. I tossed my duffel onto the bench. What is this, Joe's funeral parlor? Feather put a sympathetic arm around my shoulder. Listen, Wallace, before my dad sees you, and it stops right there on page 26. So, let's see, what can I ask you? What does Wallace's mom ask him to do with the book report? And what do you think is her point about not making fun of the book? Yep. You're brilliant. I'm really impressed you got that. And what do you think of Wallace's attitude? Is it helpful or not? Really? Okay. All right, fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I wonder if Mr. Fogelman thinks that. Okay. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. All right. So let's hear the bad news, okay? Technically, this page would have been about a building action. Because why? What do you think is about to happen on page 27? Or this next section if you're in the yellow book? Yeah, that's right. Too late. Coach Wrigley rounded the corner, eyes shooting sparks. Hello and goodbye, Wallace. Get out of my locker room. Honestly, I thought he was joking. What are you talking about, Coach? Detention is what I'm talking about, roared Wrigley. You're still on it. Not on Saturday. The coach shook his head. School rules. If you're on detention, you can't play on a team, join a club, or go on a field trip, even on weekends. Did you know that a school has more power than the government? Okay, sorry. I mean, it was Saturday, not even a school day. How could Fogelman have this much control over my life? I was so stunned that all I could manage was a very feeble, no kidding. And if you think I was upset, hey! Rick was framed in the doorway. He dropped his helmet with a clatter. Detention was yesterday. Kavanaugh shook his head. This is terrible. There's two bad words in here, parents. But come on, your kids are in middle school. This is terrible, jackass. And when nobody was looking, the rat winked at me. Is everybody clutching their pearls? That's an expression that parents will get. I was the only one in the locker room who knew how much my best friend was enjoying this. Okay, so what's the school rule about detention? And how's that impacting Wallace? And who doesn't seem to mind so much that Wallace can't play on the team? In the game, I mean. And what do you think that point that they all said? This is an opinion question for you. So, Wallace is in detention, but it's a Saturday game. Do you think it's fair that if you are on detention, you also get barred from a school activity on a Saturday? What do you think about that? Okay, so we're going to stop there for the week. We're going to pick up the novel again on Wednesday. If you haven't read this far at all this week, if you're on a previous thing, don't worry. You have until Wednesday. Let's see, today is the, sorry folks, I just don't know what the date is. Today is the 20th, 21, 22, 23, 24, the 25th. So make sure you've read up to this point in the novel by March 25th, okay? All right. Well, everybody, have a nice weekend. Do something chill. Make sure you get outside. Have fun. Bye-bye.